Okay, what's up, folks? Rich Van Tassel finishing up our game picks for Week 7 of the NFL season, and of course, recording audio for Get Live Radio. The Dallas Cowboys, 2-3, 1-1 on the road, travel to San Francisco to play the 49ers, who are 0-6, 0-2 at home. Injuries for the visiting Cowboys. Jadobe Awuzie, the rookie cornerback, continues to struggle with injuries. He's questionable. Charles Tapper, the defensive end, is an injury reserve out. For the San Francisco 49ers, Dakota Watson, linebacker, Akilla Witherspoon, cornerback, DJ Jones, defensive tackle, Brock Coyle, linebacker, Ray Armstrong, linebacker, are all questionable. I would expect CJ Beathard to get the start for the 49ers. He came in relief last week. The Brian Hoyer experiment is just not working. You're not winning any games. You might as well go with Beathard. Sean Lee should be back for the Cowboys. Let's see if he slows down Carlos Hyde, who's playing very well. Matt Breida is also playing well at times. Ezekiel Elliott will play in this game. He's continuing to go through that court situation. Got another injunction, stay of his suspension, whatever you want to call it. He hasn't played well. I think some of it has to do with that weighing on him. I think some of it also has to do with the fact that the Cowboys' offensive line has not gelled since the retirement of Doug Free and the departure of Ron Leary. Dak Prescott a little high in his interceptions. He's still got a good completion percentage this season, but the Cowboys' offense is not the problem, despite Des Bryant not really living up to par. It's the fact that their defense can't stop anyone, and I would expect that's going to be the case in this game as well. CJ Beathard, a pedestrian quarterback. Pedestrian quarterbacks are having their way with the Cowboys' defense. You have some injuries as well. As we said, Awuzie may not be able to go, and even when he does go, he doesn't play. And the Cowboys, coming off their bye, will have a very disappointing loss in this one. San Francisco gets their first win of the season, 28-24. The Cowboys will score, but they can't stop anyone. Seattle 3-2, 1-2 on the road, travel to New York to play the Giants, who are 1-5, 0-2 at home. They got their first win last Sunday against the Denver Broncos. Injuries for the Seahawks, all questionable. Jeremy Lane, cornerback. Marcus Smith, the second defensive end. Richard Sherman, cornerback. Nazir Jones, defensive tackle. Cam Chancellor, safety. For the New York Giants, all questionable as well. Jonathan Casillas, linebacker. Olivier Vernon, a defensive end, Calvin Munson, a linebacker, John Jerry, a guard, Landon Collins, a safety, and DJ Fluker, who has really helped that offensive line, has just come in on the injury report as a questionable. Arlen Starkwa is certainly developing his running game. Look for a guy like Tavares King, not just for this season, but possibly moving forward with a different team to really establish himself, because the New York Giants are devoid of wide receivers with the injuries to Odell Beckham Jr. and Brandon Marshall being out for the season, of course. And I think the New York Giants are going to get this one. Both teams have sloppy offensive line play. The Seattle Seahawks are off a bye. Expect them to be sloppy. It is a 4 o'clock start time with the west to east travel, not the 1 o'clock start time, so I don't think it'll be too much of a problem. But I think the Giants, now that they finally got that first win, are going to start to pile up wins, and they get the victory in this one. I like 20-13 over the Seattle Seahawks. The Cincinnati Bengals, 2-3, 1-1 on the road, travel to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers, who are 4-2, 1-1 at home. Cincinnati lost their first three. They've responded with 2 straight victories to get themselves back in contention this season. Injuries for the visiting Bengals: John Ross, wide receiver; Ryan Hewitt, tight end; Darren Smith, safety; Clayton Fitzgerald, safety, are all questionable. Cedric Pierman is injury reserve out. He's a running back. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, all questionable: Ramon Foster, guard; Vince Williams, linebacker; Stephon Tuitt, defensive end; Marquise Pouncey, center. The Cincinnati Bengals are finding things with their rookies, John Ross as well as Joe Mixon. John Ross had some injury problems at the beginning of the year. Now that he's coming along, and of course they moved on from their offensive coordinators, Cincinnati, you're starting to see them improve, and I expect them to get the victory in this one. Pittsburgh's been up and down. Ben Roethlisberger has thrown 8 interceptions to 7 touchdowns. Of course, Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown are having big years. They've started to get them both going at the same time in some of these games. Expect that to continue in this one. But I just like Cincinnati, the way they've responded this season, and I expect them to get the victory in this game. I'm liking a score of 31-27 in a high-scoring game. I know that's a lot of points for a Cincinnati team that has struggled on offense at times, but Pittsburgh's defense is not very good, and I expect the rookies to play well in this game. The Denver Broncos, 3-2, 0-1 on the road, travel to Los Angeles to play the Chargers, who are 2-4, 0-3 at home. The Chargers have won 2 straight after losing their first four. Injuries for the visiting Broncos. Shane Ray, linebackers and injury reserve, out. Emmanuel Sanders, wide receiver. Isaiah McKenzie, wide receiver, are both out. Demarius Thomas, wide receiver. Brandon Marshall, linebacker, are questionable. For the Los Angeles Chargers, Adrian Phillips, safety. Spencer Pulley, center. Melvin Gordon, running back. Joe Barksdale, offensive tackle, are questionable. Forrest Lamp, a guard, is an injury reserve, out. Denver has been up and down. They come off that very disappointing loss to the New York Giants. Trevor Siemian has really only looked good against that hapless Cowboys secondary. Let's see if he can find himself in this one. Los Angeles, look, they've lost some close games. They've been competitive. What can they do at home? I expect them to really give Denver a run for their money in this one. However, I think Los Angeles is going to start to slide off now a bit. They've gotten their wins. Denver knows what's on the line. They know what's facing them in that division. Trevor Siemian makes enough plays, even though he's missing some receivers in this game, and they come away with the victory in this one. I like 24-17, probably a late touchdown and then a stop. Von Miller will have a big game in this one for the Denver Broncos. A rematch of last year's Super Bowl on Sunday night. The Atlanta Falcons 3-2, 2-0 on the road, travel to New England to play the Patriots, who are 4-2 and 1-2 at home. Injuries first for the visiting Falcons. Duke Riley, linebacker. Takaris McKinley, defensive end. Deion Jones, linebacker. Matt Bryant, kicker. Vic Beasley Jr., linebacker, are questionable. Vic Beasley Jr. has missed some time. Let's see if he can go in this one. He's a very good pass rusher. For the New England Patriots, Harvey Langai, linebacker. Landon Roberts, linebacker. Shaq Mason's guard. Chris Hogan, wide receiver, are questionable. Cyrus Jones, the cornerback, is an injury reserve, out. Julio Jones has yet to find the end zone in this game. Expect Stephon Gilmore to be on him. New England's defense, they came back a little bit against the Jets last week. They still have their struggles this year. They're going to have a tough test against the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons surprising 3-2. Some of those are interceptions. Matt Ryan had a big interception last week that sealed it. He's already got 6 interceptions. On the opposite end, Tom Brady, 13 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. It's really a case of inconsistent play with Matt Ryan and the defense not coming along very well for the New England Patriots that have kept these teams from really taking off. They were in the Super Bowl last year. I think New England is starting to find their act. I think that falling behind against the Jets and being able to come back and get that victory is going to enable them in this week, and they're going to really start to pile up the wins. I expect a few turnovers from Matt Ryan. Julio Jones may get in the end zone, but I've been thinking that for a couple weeks. He's going to have a tough corner in Stephon Gilmore and Malcolm Butler at times on him in this game. I think the Patriots are going to get this one high scoring, but I'm liking 30-21, and Matt Ryan might throw another big interception in this game.